Hi, my name's Thursday Gervais. I'm an ultracyclist, and I will be racing in the Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme in 2017. Welcome to the OhioRAAM show.
Well, thank you, Thursday, for that introduction. Certainly looking forward to your participating in the Trans-Siberian race that is about 5,000 miles, just a little short of that, from Moscow to Vladivostok. It works a little different than what we're used to in ultracycling, but it certainly is a tremendous challenge. And I know it was kind of touch and go for Thursday to get herself the sponsor she needed to do the race, but by the hair of her chinny chin chin, I guess I should say the hair of my chinny chin chin, she did make it, for which we're happy, and we will have a full show with Thursday on April the 7th, so be sure to watch that. And this is a show about cycling and ultracycling, comes to you 7 times a month on the 7th, the 17th, and the 27th of each month. My name is Lee Kreider. I am the host of this show, and this is show number 140. And the show comes to you because of the good efforts of Time Stations 41 in Oxford, Ohio, and Time Stations 42 in Blanchester, Ohio, time stations on the race across America. And since we're getting closer to the race across America, we would like to invite any of you who are fans who would like to watch the race, who live here in the tri-state area, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, or anywhere in the Midwest, to come to our time stations. We are open 24 hours a day as the race passes by, and there will always be people there to inform you, to give you the latest updates. If you're new to the race across America, there'll be people there who can explain to you what it's about, what's going on, and it's just a wonderful place to visit. Our show today features the EA Water for People team. We did have one little glitch, and that was we never were able to get Glenn Mincer on the show. I've told some of you who are candidates for guesting on the show that I have 100% success of getting people connected. I have to back off now because we tried and tried and tried, and for some reason we could never get audio from Glenn. Now, we did get his video, so I think I'll keep on saying 100%, but for some reason his microphone wouldn't connect, and we're sorry for that, Glenn. We apologize. Why should I apologize? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't Glenn's fault. It was just some kooky thing that we ran into. So let's go talk to the team Water for People. So with that, let's go on over to Maryland. I believe that's where you're at. Michael, is that right?
That's correct. Maryland, just north of Baltimore, Baldwin,
Maryland. Well, you're not too far then from the finish of the race across America, are you?
No, just about an hour drive, 45-minute, an hour drive south. It's a place we go often for an evening out.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, Michael, and what you do to put bread on the table, and a little bit about your cycling background.
Okay. Well, I am a chiropractor, and a couple years ago I started a software company, so working on that primarily now, and I actually closed my practice after 20 years of practicing, and so I have a little bit more time to ride, and now here we are, getting ready to do RAAM. I've been doing endurance sports for a long time. Originally, I was a decathlete and pole vaulter in high school and college, and switched over after graduating. But back in the early 80s, I saw on TV Lon Haldeman do RAAM, and was inspired by the event, and I always thought that would be an interesting event, and it wasn't until, geez, Jeff, probably close to 30 years later, I started training with Jeff, and it just came up on a ride and sort of sat with us, fermented for a year or so, and we started to kind of get serious and start planning the ride. My history in the past 10 or 15 years has been from marathons, ultra marathons, 50-miler ultra marathon running, various centuries. The past couple of years, I've done several Ironman races and lots of centuries. Cycling's always been my strongest event and the most enjoyable for me. So that's where I am right now.
You know, that's true for a lot of people I've had here on the show. They started out in triathlons and found they just enjoyed cycling so much that that sort of became the main event. And while we're at it, Michael, I love that skeleton there in the background. I suppose that has something to do with your profession as
that's actually my former training partner.
Broke up just a little bit there. Does it have a name?
No, it doesn't have a name. Actually, that's from work. Brought it home to keep me company when I closed my practice.
Let's go down to Dallas, Texas, and talk to Lou. Lou Barinka, is that correct, Lou?
Yes, that is correct, Lee.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Well, similar to Michael, I started out, my cycling was associated with doing triathlons. I started triathlons back in the 1980s, kind of in the infancy of the sport, Dave Scott and Scott Tinley and Mark Allen, those kind of guys. And, did triathlons for about 10, 12 years and until I started having kids and went on to, do more coaching and things like that and less competitive type, events. But then, once I became an empty nester, kind of got back into, doing more century rides and tours and things like that. Primarily doing more cycling, just to save my legs as I got older.
Jeff, you're in Pennsylvania, Jeff, is that right?
I am in Pennsylvania, just over the Maryland line.
Well, tell me about yourself.
Well, I am an environmental consultant by profession. Lou and I work for the same company called EA Engineering, Science and Technology, and we do a lot of environmental cleanup and remediation type of things at Superfund sites and other kinds of things. So that's what we do for profession. And I guess, it's sort of the same old story. I've been endurance sports, and as I got older, I had a little bit more time to do that, and I started out, biking quite a bit, and then I went into triathlon, and I've done 6 Ironman triathlons, and it's always been the biking leg that's the most intriguing, and in some ways easier on the knees than running, and I've just sort of gone from there. And while we're out on our long rides on Saturday, this has been a conversation and something that we got ourselves enough gumption to give it a go.
Okay, and I met you, Jeff, and I met Michael at the crew seminar up in Columbus last spring, I believe it was. Well, we've got a missing person, and that is Glenn. Who wants to tell me about Glenn? He's out there trying to get on, and we've worked and finally decided we're going to go ahead. But since he hasn't made it yet, who's going to tell us about Glenn?
I'll mention Glenn. Glenn is a attorney with the Peter Angelos law firm in Baltimore, and you might know the Peter Angelos law firm is the same firm that owns the Baltimore Orioles, and he is involved in various types of law having to do with medical malpractice and that sort of thing, but probably should let him tell you more about more about that. His last name is Mincer, Glenn Mincer, and he's also a triathlete and long-term ultra distance kind of guy as far as doing marathons and bicycle racing.
So, who wants to tell us a little bit about your team, the team name, and how you got together?
Jeff, why don't you take that?
I guess I can take the first start at that. It's Jeff. We work for a company called EA Engineering, and as part of EA, we have we're a public benefit corporation, and as part of that, we have a cause that we support, and it's Water for People as a corporation. And so I went to the president and CEO of EA, and I said, we're going to America, and 2 of your employees are going to be part of that team. Would EA consider, being part of the lead sponsor for us financially and morally, or for morale? And he said yes, if we can find a way to raise money for Water for People. And so that's how the team name EA Water for People was originated. And I talked to the other team members, and we all agreed that it was a worthwhile venture, and a little bit different than what a lot of other people raise money for in this race, which are often disease and related things like that. So
Hey, Water for People is an organization that is, their main focus is to bring water and sanitation services around the world, especially to underdeveloped areas.
I was going to say they do more than just bring fresh water. They go and work with the local community and the local government and leaders in the community, and they build wells and build infrastructure that the community can maintain and own, and so that they have a long-term solution for the lack of fresh water and poor sanitation. So by creating a long-term solution.
That's right, and they do a lot of work with sanitation, and they also do a lot of education on personal hygiene in these areas, telling people what the right way to take care of your body to help remain disease-free, and they go in and they work with the government, so it's a sustainable. They never fund 100% of the project. They make the local government find a way to help pay for it, and then have a fund to pay for maintenance going forward, which is a little bit of a unique situation. And then on the flip side of that, because there is sort of like a local utility set up, it creates jobs for the local employees too. So last year, it was like maybe 125 full-time jobs in these countries were created for maintaining these systems. And if probably from your work with your church, that often young women and children have to walk 5 or 6 miles to go gather water and bring it back, or sometimes they tote it back on a bicycle. Pictures of that on our website, and so it allows these people now to be able to go to school and get an education rather than spending their whole time schlepping water back and forth. So it's a really good cause that they have, and they have a very active program, and I think they're maybe in 8 countries right now.
So on our website basically is a group, a Facebook group, and what you'll find on there is updates about our training, indoor and outdoor, and how we're going along as athletes preparing for the race. You'll see posts about our sponsors, both EA and other financial sponsors, but also about our equipment sponsors and other organizations and products that are helping us in getting this job done, and also other comments from some of the people that are following us and are members of the group who sort of joining in on our adventure. Also, you'll probably start seeing some bios about some of their crew members as they join our group. So the people who are following our group can kind of get to know our whole team. One thing we've found, and that's become abundantly clear for us, is that, and as you probably already know, Lee, is that doing the Race Across America is much, much more than just 4 guys on bicycles. That it's virtually, if not completely impossible to have this adventure without the members, without the crew members. And you know, from drivers of vehicles to the people who cook the meals, who wash our clothes, make sure that our bikes are in running order, our massage therapists and medical people, and just the moral support. And we definitely plan to showcase the crew members as well as ourselves in our planning for the race.
Well, I looked at your, you have a donation website, I found.
Yes.
And can you donate from the Facebook page, or is that only through that donation website?
So if you go to the Facebook page, right on the very first link, the pinned link, you'll see at the top. It's also in the profile picture. There's a website. It's www.active.com/donate/RAAM team, RAAMTEAM, and that is our official donation page. So just to be clear, Water for People is the cause, the charity we're riding for, and they're going to be the ones that benefit from all of our donations. However, we are using a local charity called Strout Kids for Kids. They're a local charity that works to help with education and with helping the parents of newly diagnosed children with epilepsy and autism. They're acting simply as our fiscal sponsor. And so just so there's no confusion, you may see their name. They're helping us with the 501(c) legal part of running a nonprofit. But all of our money that we're raising will benefit Water for People. Okay,
and that was a very long locator there that you gave, and it's on the screen there where you can see it now. And if you're watching the show on the website, OhioRAAMshow.com, you'll see right below the video a link that will take you to their Facebook page. It'll take you to that donation page on their website. So it'll be quite easy for you if you're not watching the show on the website, OhioRAAMshow.com, but on one of the other sites that embed the show. If you'll go to our website, and you always ought to go to our website, of course, but you'll see right below the video there a link that will take you to those sites. So if you'd like to make a donation, because what is it you say on your site? There's almost 2 billion people that do not have access to clean water or something like that?
That's exactly right. So a lot of the people in the world don't have access, and we think it's a right that every person should have access to clean water and sanitation. So hopefully we can make a little step in the right direction through our efforts with this race.
Well, I think that's a great cause. Like I said, I've been sort of distantly connected with that through some activities of our church. But I'll tell you what, poor Glenn's been sitting over there. He's mute today. But let's at least get his picture up. Or get back on the screen, Glenn, so we can see you. At least wave to us. Can you give us a wave now? His picture's frozen. So he's having quite a time. He's having quite a time there. Sorry about that, Glenn, but we've done everything we can from our end to help you there. Well, listen, it's been wonderful having you people on the show, and we appreciate every one of you. Before we wind this up, is there anything you'd like to share with us tonight before we go? Anybody got anything they'd like to tell us?
Well, we're very excited, I can tell you, Jeff, Glenn, and I, about moving into the next couple of weeks when we're going to have temperatures both day and night below freezing. And so you'll find us all spending lots of time on our trainers. in our garages or in our dark back basement rooms, while our teammate Lou Brinka down in Texas will be probably having to put suntan lotion on when he goes out for nice sunny rides.
Yeah, it is supposed to be 70 on Saturday. So,
Well,
Yeah.
Lou, you know what Garrison Keeler says? He says he worries about those people down south and all that warmth. Is that it's that cold Minnesota air that that keeps us pure up here.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, guys, for being with us. So again, we're so sorry that we couldn't get Glenn connected here, but you kind of put a wrinkle in my statistics. I tell people I've had 100% success, and I think it's going to be 99.9 now. But that wasn't his fault, wasn't our fault. Just one of those crazy things that happens. But thank you again for being with us.
All right,
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, Lee.
Well, thanks, guys, for being on the show. Again, apologies to Glenn because it didn't work. We have had a lot better success with folks since Google changed some of its procedures for doing live streaming. But once in a while, just glitches happen. And if you're planning on being on the show at some future date as guesting, I want to highly recommend that you use the Google Chrome browser. We just seem to have very good luck with that. And since it's a Google product and we're using Google Streaming, I guess that's to be understood. And if you're going to use a mobile device, and we've had very good luck with mobile devices, the Mac devices and the Android devices, you will need to have the Hangout app installed. Just a tip if you're going to be on the show in the future. And we want to thank all of you who watched the show. It means a lot to us to get that kind of support. And when you give us a like or a share or a plus or a retweet when you see the show on social media, that's appreciated too, because that's what makes the world of ultracycling better known, particularly when you share, because that shares with the people who follow you. Be sure to visit our website if you're not there already, OhioRAAMshow.com, and below each show you will see links that relate to the team that we had on, the people we had on. And also there's a place there where you can leave your comments, criticisms, suggestions for future shows. And hey, we're particularly anxious to get your suggestions because we're always looking for something that would interest you. On our next show, February 7th, we will have as guest Johnny Stassholm from Norway. So we'll see you then in about 10 days. Goodbye.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.